Have everybody's attention. We'll come back to order here. And Commissioners, I'll need a motion to come out of executive session. Mr. Hampton moves to come out of session. Ivor Davis seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor of coming out of executive session pursuant to KRS 61-810 signify by saying aye. All opposed, no. Okay. We're out of executive session. And to correct the record, I think I announced a while ago that Carol Pettit worked for KIPTA, and she actually represents us from KCO. So I just want to get that on the record as being corrected. So, all right. With that, we'll now call on Ms. Edgar to read our docketed item for today.
Docket PC 22022, application has been filed by Jerry Ahrens for the approval of a revised development plan. Ahrens Professional Offices on approximately 1.2 acres. The property is located at the 1200 block of North Highway 393, Buckner.
All righty. Thank you. And with that, Mr. Fisher, I assume you're introducing the docket.
It's me.
All right.
Good morning, Commission members. Ryan Fisher, Oldham County Planning and Development Senior Planner, 100 West Jefferson Street, LaGrange. So as Madam Clerk read, Ahrens Orthodontics has a revised development plan. So that application has been filed by Jerry Ahrens for the approval of a revised development plan. Ahrens Professional Offices on approximately 1.2 acres. Property is located on the 1200 block of North Highway 393 in Buckner. So here's a little bit of the case history. The public notice was in the Oldham era 9/8, and adjoining property owner notices were mailed 9/14. So the site history, the Oldham County Planning Commission heard this case on January 6, 2022 for the zoning map amendment change, as well as the development plan of Ahrens offices. So that was docket PZ 22001 for the zoning map amendment, changing that from an I2 heavy industrial to C3 commercial and general business district. And then PZ 22002 was for the development plan in what would become the C3 commercial area. Both cases passed on a vote of 8-0 from the Planning Commission. And then Fiscal Court heard that zoning map amendment portion of the case on February 15th, 2022. Roll call vote was taken to adopt the ordinance number KOC 21-920279, and that motion carried unanimously for the zoning map amendment portion of that case. So here is the area in question, right across from Oldham County High School, as we're looking on 393, closer to 146. Here's the structures map. Here is the new zoning area that was approved with that zoning map amendment, that is now a C3 zoned area. And so this kind of got started with an email from the new architect to Jim Silliman about the area of site disturbance was going to be less than an acre. And so Jim Silliman sort of directed it over to Jim and I to say on whether or not this needs to go before the Planning Commission again. And so as most of you all are aware in our binding elements, we always put down approval is based on the plans that were presented at that particular hearing. So because of that, and this has changed a little bit, the size of the building has changed, the site disturbance has changed, which Jim Silliman will probably talk about. We're coming back to you all with this revised development plan. So the applicant is requesting a revised development plan for the professional offices. The previous development plan was a 13,800 square foot structure, which would have provided professional office space for Dr. Ahrens' orthodontic practice, as well as additional suites and offices. They were going to have some surgery suites in there. There was going to be a basement as well for some equipment. The revised plan is now for a single-story, 4,115 square foot structure, which will provide professional office space for Dr. Ahrens. The proposed building has been designed to allow for entrances to potential suites and offices at both the front and the rear of the building. The proposed development plan shows one entrance onto North Highway 393, which didn't change from the previous one. Plan meets all other zoning and subdivision regulations. Per the Oldham County Engineer's Office, a traffic assessment is required in accordance with Oldham County subdivision regulations. However, with the project to realign Kentucky 393 be completed in the near future, the traffic volume on the current 393 at this development will change significantly. So staff is not requiring at this time a traffic assessment from the applicant. And Jim may be able to talk more about that here in a second. So that is from a letter dated December 2nd, 2021 from the Oldham County Engineering Office. So here is the new development plan. And I did get a much larger one for you there to take a look at. So same entrance coming in off of 393. Proposed building, 4,115 square foot. It does have a 600, this area here in the back, which looks shaded on my screen. I don't know if it does on yours. That is actually an area for a garage. I think it's 660 square feet, if I can recall. So single story building now as opposed to the one before that had a basement and a much smaller footprint. Here are some elevations that they have provided on what the office building will look like. And then here are some pictures. These are actually from the previous presentation. So if you think to yourself fall has already hit and stuff is starting to go away, these were actually taken in the winter. So I just used these same pictures. So this was looking at, let me go back, from the Red Cross building down towards 146. Here is looking towards the industrial building. Back down the roadway, looking towards 146, Oldham County softball field on your right, Marathon gas station on your left. And then back up the road towards the Red Cross, Bully's Barbecue, Oldham County High School there on your left. And then directly across the street from the site with Oldham County High School. And looking towards the Red Cross building. So the proposed conditions of approval for this. The approval will apply only to the plan presented today at the September 27th, 2022 Oldham County Planning Commission public hearing. The development plan must comply with all established federal, state, and county ordinances and requirements at the time of construction plan approval, and then a landscape and lighting plan must be submitted and approved prior to the issuance of any building permits. And with that, that concludes that presentation. If you all have any questions, I'd be more than happy to entertain them, or Mr. Urban.
Okay, thank you. I'll call on Mr. Jim Sullivan, our county engineer, and I think we'll need to get you sworn in. Jim? Okay. Edgar?
I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Ready, Mr. Sullivan? Uh-oh.
Have the overhead, Christy.
Sullivan, while we're waiting, I guess just name and address for, so we can, for the
I'm
rest.
Sullivan, County Engineer, 100 West Jefferson Street, LaGrange. This is just a copy of our review letter that I provided Ryan yesterday, and we'll give a copy to the applicant. But Ryan explained it, I think, thoroughly with regard to the traffic assessment, and we discussed this at the previous hearing, that because of that realignment of 393 and other work, there's no requirement for the traffic assessment that would typically be required, so that's been waived. The entrance still encroaches on a state road, so encroachment permit will be required from KYTC. The encroachment appears to be in about the same location as the previous. The largest change from our review standpoint is the land disturbance area, which is now less than an acre. Because it's less than an acre, it wouldn't require stormwater quality management and erosion control permit or the associated detention or retention requirements. However, if future phases do expand the project area over a cumulative 1 acre, we would require that then address the stormwater as it were a 1 acre project, and it would cover that total acre, not just the new phase. So without that permit being required, we would still require the construction plans be provided to our office for review. That's all.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, with that, Commissioners, do you have any questions for staff on this docket? Any questions for staff? Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. King?
Is the microphone working? So, with respect to the traffic, and again, I'm reading between the lines here. It seems like staff knows a little bit about something of the 393 realignment plans. Can you give us a little bit of background observation on that? What the plans look like?
10 o'clock, I'm going to the conference room. There's a big meeting about advancing that project.
Okay.
So what he's, excuse me, speaking towards is the realignment of 393 with an underpass under the railroad track, and it will move this 393 location to the east, back behind this piece of property. And that's why we did not require a traffic impact study or any assessment for this project to begin with, because this is going to end up being a more like a local road than what now is a state road. I think we're even going to take it over. They're going to give it to the county. Does that answer your question enough, or you want more deep?
Any guess on a timeline?
I'll let you know after the 10 o'clock meeting.
Thank you.
All right, anything else, Mr. King?
That's all. Thank you.
Any other questions for staff on this docket? Okay. I guess, Mr. Sullivan, I just one question on the detention, or the placement of this new building. Is it closer, or is it in the same location, or as far as on the lot as compared to the previous plan that we approved?
That's a good question. I didn't really look into that.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right, we can do that. All right, no additional questions for staff. We'll move on then to the presentation of the applicant or representative and others in support of the application. Mr. Baxter, I would assume that would be you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. Barry Baxter, 117 West Main Street. I represented the applicant when we came before you all in January. We went to the fiscal court shortly thereafter, got the zone change approved, after, quite frankly, being asked a lot of questions about people drowning in detention basins and Humvees being deployed to be able to drive children across the street from the high school. We got that approved. So we had a much larger building when we came in the first time due to some professional relationships and some changes in those relationships. Dr. Ahrens has chosen to downsize this building. And as indicated by Ryan when he gave his presentation, one of the things that's required is if, when we got approved in January, that only approved that plan. So since we've modified our plan, we're obligated to come back before you. We've got our landscape architect, Ms. Bartley, is present, and she's going to present the changes that we've made, and hopefully we can answer any questions that you all may have. So I'm going to step aside and let her explain what we've done to modify the plan that we had. Ms. Bartley, when you come up, they're going to need to swear you and get your address.
Ms. Edgar, if you would, let's get her sworn in.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Hi, I'm Ashley Bartley with QK4. Address is 1046 East Chestnut Street, Louisville, Kentucky, 40204. And I've been working on the revisions to the site plan since it was approved back in January. As Ryan stated, it has reduced in size some, which has reduced the overall size of the property. I just have a few slides that I'll go through quickly. To answer the question about the setback, I don't have the old plan with me. I actually didn't work on that. That was a different engineering firm.
A little closer to the mic.
Sure. How's that?
Okay.
I did not work on the previous plan. Did you have that? Oh, yeah, that'd be great. To see just kind of the distance. I have the new. Okay. Yeah, so we're now a little over 88 feet from the property line, and previously it was 114 and a half. So the building has actually moved closer now to 393. So
Okay.
I'll just kind of go through a few of my slides. Here's a kind of a bird's eye aerial view above Oldham County High School, looking towards the site. Here's the site map. Obviously, everybody knows it's right across from Oldham County High School. Here's a copy of just the, that was the previous plan. Oh, so I do have that in my presentation. So you can see the building was more rectangular in shape. The parking is similar in the front, and then it also had the parking going around to the north with the detention basin that, as Mr. Silmans stated, excuse me, is no longer required. Here's just a color rendering just to kind of give you a clearer view of that. So most of the north part of the property will remain vacant, and the parking again is kind of in the front of the building and also to the south. There's a dumpster located back there. You can kind of see it at the end of that parking area. And then also the driveway that leads into the garage for, I believe, 2 cars will fit in that garage. And also this kind of shows the comparison between the two. You know, I put 8,400 square feet on that, but I think that this, I did not include the basement. So the previous plan was even larger than that. So we're less than half of the square footage of what was previously approved. And of that, 650 is garage space, which isn't actually usable square footage. Parking previously was 42 spaces. We now have 28 spaces. And again, the disturbed area was over an acre, which required the water quality and stormwater management. And now we are going to be under that 1 acre. Here's just a site plan again. If anybody has any questions about that, and that's all I've got. I think Ryan and Jim.
While you're up here.
Sure.
Ryan, can we get back to your presentation? Because I think she sent you some elevations and just. Oh. Go over those with them a little bit. Okay.
So again, here are the building elevations. This is looking from the west. My eyes are getting old. I can't see on the screen anymore. So that's going to be facing the road. The one on the bottom is the south, so that's going to be obviously on the south side as you approach up 393. And then the east is at the top. So that'll be kind of the back side of the building opposite 393, and then the north is on the bottom. These are, you can kind of see these, the kind of axonometric views, more of a bird's eye. So the top left is going to be looking from the front. Top right is going to be kind of looking from like towards the garage area. Bottom left is the rear elevation. And then the bottom right would be from the north looking down 393 back towards the high school. I think these are just enlargements of the other elevations.
Okay, so just go back. The one there on the top, that's the front of the building. Right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes, that's what you'll see from 393.
And did you have an opportunity to look at the drawings that the elevations that we submitted in January?
I don't know that I have seen those.
Okay, well, so I'm going to testify here a little bit. I'm going to represent to you all that these are fairly consistent, kind of a modern look that we had before. You all, I don't recall raising any issue with it, but we had a discussion at fiscal court about this and the character of the neighborhood. And I believe Mr. Urban kindly reminded the fiscal court that the Arvin Center is kind of a modern looking building in this area, and that this is something that would be appropriate for the area. I mean, if you think about some of the school campuses, they've gone to like a modern lobby, a sort of a glass open lobby. I think in Crestwood they're redoing the lobby on the elementary school. So I would suspect that at some point, you know, we're going to get some modifications of more modifications of the high school as well. So this is pretty consistent with what we had before. And I apologize, I don't think we've got those renderings for you, but I just wanted to let you all know that while the footprint's much smaller, it's pretty consistent with what we asked for before.
Okay. All right, does that complete your application then?
For me?
Okay. Mr. Baxter, does that complete the?
All from me, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
I don't have any rebuttal either, unless you want me to.
Okay. All right. Commissioners, questions now for the applicant. Anyone have any questions? Okay. Seeing none. All right. Mr. Baxter, final statement.
Nothing beyond. We just would appreciate approval of the revised development plan. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Thank you. With that, we will, I guess the right docket here, docket PZ 22022 is completed. and I will call on Mr. Urban to outline what the request is on this revised development plan.
Well, sure. On your third page in your staff report, there are sample motions for either approval or denial of the revised development plan. Should you choose to approve it, there are proposed binding elements or conditions of approval. Number one is that the approval applies only to the plan presented at the September 27, 2022 Oldham County Planning Commission public hearing. The second one is that the development plan must comply with all established federal, state, and county ordinances and requirements at the time of construction plan approval. And the third is a landscape and lighting plan must be submitted and approved prior to the issuance of any building permits. I didn't hear anything else to add to that.
Okay. All right, Mr. Urban, thank you. With that, Commissioners, I guess we would entertain a motion on this docket PZ 22022. This is a revised development plan. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Nasser.
Making a motion to approve development plan as stated for docket PZ 22-022. Based on testimony and evidence, the reduction of land disturbance and building size, it fits with the comprehensive plan and zoning ordinances for the area. This approval shall also include the proposed conditions of approval as stated by Jim Urban.
Okay. Mr. Carter, is that adequate, sir? Yes. Okay. Have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? Okay. Multiple seconds. I'll take Ms. Davis a second. All right. Now, any discussion on the motion to approve the revised development plan on docket PZ 22022? Any discussion? Okay. Seeing none, we will proceed to vote. I'll call on Ms. Edgar to do the vote, and this is a vote to approve the revised development plan from Dr. Ahrens on a revised development plan on a professional offices on approximately 1.2 acres. The property is located at 1200 block of North Highway 393 in Buckner. And this is a motion to approve. Ms. Edgar?
Ms. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Elder?
Yes.
Mr. Ender? Mr. Falvey? Mr. Finney?
Yes.
Mr. Halfling?
Yes.
Mr. Hampton? Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Klingenfuss? Ms. Nazer?
Yes.
Ms. Walzer? Mr. Marsh?
All right. With that, docket PZ 22022 revised development plan has been approved. What's the count? 13-0. All right, Commissioners, that was a quick meeting here this morning. We don't have any other business, but Mr. Fisher, do you want to tell us about what maybe we might have next month?
So you all will definitely have a meeting next month, October 25th, 9 a.m. There is one thing on there now, and I'm expecting maybe a couple more before tomorrow. And then I know a couple commissioners have reached out about training. So in my rigorous training program, once I figure out what I need to send you all, I will get you all training information out. But that is yet to be covered yet. So that is all I have.
Mr. Urban, anything else? Okay. Anybody, any questions for the Commission before we adjourn? Yes, sir. Well, next month, I don't know, not this month for sure, but I know, yeah, not next month.
At this point, we don't have anything. Things we've been working on with the engineering department and withdrawn, so we're really kind of taking a break. Short-staffed, taking a break.
Right. All right, Commissioners, with that, we will stand adjourned until our meeting on October 25th, I believe it is. So thank you all.